Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Eruvin Perek Yimah Mishnah Bava. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss an interesting case of setting up an Erub Tehumin for 2 days. And these 2 days are going to be Shabbat and Yom Tov. Now, before we even jump into this, I'm going to point out what Hanabah mentions at the end of the Mishnah, which I think is a nice introduction, so I'll mention it here. And that is, if a person wants to set up an Erub for Shabbat, he goes Friday, before Shabbat starts, and he sets the Eruv, so he's there Ben Hashmashot. Same thing for Yom Tov. He goes Erub Yom Tov, and he sets up his Eruv. Now, if it's Shabbat and Yom Tov the following day, or vice versa, Yom Tov and then Shabbat, a person is not allowed to go on Yom Tov, and even you got to carry on Yom Tov, but you can't go on Yom Tov to set your Eruv for Shabbat. Why? Because Chol is mechin for Shabbat and Yom Tov is not mechin for Shabbat. Right? A person, right, and Yom Tov mechin the Shabbat. That's what we learn from Masechet Betzah. You can't prepare from Yom Tov to Shabbat. So therefore, everyone agrees Mishnah that you can set up an Eruv Tehumin on Friday Yom Tov, so you could go ahead and walk further on Shabbat. So therefore, if a person wants to, it's coming up, and you have Friday Yom Tov, Shabbat on the following day, and you want to go Friday to greet your rabbi who's coming in the east, and Shabbat you want to greet someone else who's coming from the west. You have a Brit Milah in the next city on the west. What could you do? Could you set up 2 Eruvin? And how does that play out? How does that work? So the Bidi Ezer Omer, Yom Tov Shu Samuch Shabbat, if you have Yom Tov that's close to Shabbat, whether it's on Friday or Sunday, a person could set aside 2 Eruvei Tehumin. The Omer, Eruvi Harishon Mizrach, Vashini Ma'arav. The first day is to the east, the second day is to the west, Harishon Ma'arav, Vashini Mizrach. Right? Or he says the first, right? And then what happens? The Erub on the first day is to the west, or he says the first day is to the west, and the second day is to the east. Or you say Eruvi Barishon v'Hasheni Kibnei Iri. My Erub is on the first day, and the second day I'm going to be like the people of my city, and I don't have an Erub at all. Or Eruvi Bashanim. The second day my Erub is going to count, but Barishon Kibnei Iri. And the first day I'm going to be like the rest of the people of my city. You could go ahead and do that. You can make this, condition, set your Erub however you want. You could separate the 2 days, right? Rabbi Leah says it's shte kedushot. It's 2 separate kedushot, 2 separate days of sanctity, and one doesn't overlap the other. Chamim say, Chamim are going to be mahmir over here, or me'arev l'ruach achat, or eno me'arev kol hikar. You could either place an Erub in one direction, or not at all. Or me'arev l'shnei amim, or either he makes his Eruv for both days, or eno me'arev kol hikar, or he can't make it at all. What are Chamim saying here? Chamim view Yom Tov and Shabbat as one kedusha lechumra. Right? They view it that you have to go ahead and review it as one kedusha, as one day of sanctity, one time frame of sanctity, and therefore you can't split it. The same way you can't say I'm going to go the first half of Shabbat to the west and the second half of Shabbat to the east. So too, you can't say I'm going to go on Shabbat to the east and the Yom Tov to the west. You can't split up the Kedusha. What's interesting is they're also mahmir to the sense, as we'll see right now, that they make you be with you, to make sure your Eruv still exists for both days. You can't just set it on, Erub Yom Tov, Thursday night for Erub Yom Tov, which is on Friday, and say, okay, I hope it goes all the way to Shabbat, because if it's there for 1 day and it's one Kedusha, then it's fine if I set it in the beginning and it lasts for, it'll last for, the 2 days, but it's one Kedusha. So let's see how Chamim say. What do you do? You take it on the first day, and you stay there with it until nightfall. Right? If it's Yom Tov, you could take it, bring it back with you. The second day, you go, you go ahead and you could eat it in its spot, and go ahead. Nimtza mistaker b'hadichato u'mistaker be'eruvo. What happens? He's mistaker with salicha, and he also benefits from his Erub, right? Because he's able to eat it on the second day. Ne'echal barishon. Let's say it was eaten on the first day, the Erub. So Erub l'rishon, it counts for the first day. Ve'eno Erub l'sheni. So we see Chamim machmir. Even though they consider it one kedusha, they still need it there on the second Ben Hashmashot day, right? Because if it's eaten, it doesn't count at all. Amar lehem Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer say, look, you're proving my point. You're proving to me that it's 2 kedushot. You're saying that you need it there. You need it to be there. It's not there good enough if it's there Erev Yom Tov. It also needs to be there Erev Shabbat. So you're proving my point that it's 2 kedushot. But as we explained, Chachamim response to Rabbi Eliezer would be that yes, I'm considering it kedusha achat lechumra, but I also need to go ahead and make sure that it's there for both ben hashmashot. But either way, halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, right? That is considered shete kedushot, as we mentioned, and lekula, right? That you could go ahead and you can separate, you can stipulate and say, I'm going to make my eruv one day to the east and the second day to the west.